So this last year, sometime around August, I come home and I'd had a great newscast.
Last year, so 2024.
Correct, 2024.
So right in the middle of a presidential campaign.
That's correct.
Okay.
In the middle of a presidential campaign, keyword presidential campaign. I get this interesting phone call. I had just come home from work and I get a phone call, and it's an old friend who used to work with me in mainstream news. He was a manager at CNN, as a matter of fact. Ricky, what's going on? Yeah, hi. Oh, my God. What are you doing calling me? He goes, I just wanted to check up on you, see how things are going. I said, good, Jim. Things are going pretty well. He says, just calling to let you know that I'm now working somewhere else. I'm no longer in news. I said, oh, okay. And where I work, a lot of people are talking about you. And I said, well, cool. That's neat. Where are you working? He says, like the State Department, kind of.
Oh, come on.
I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, wait. You work at the State Department. Who knows? USAID. And
or other agencies.
Yes. And the guys are talking about you. I said, well, good. What are they saying? Well, your show's very popular.
So come on.
Yeah. I said, well, what do you think? He goes, well, they don't necessarily like some of the things that you're saying. And I said, okay. And I said, well, they're welcome to come on and tell me, whoever they are. Tell me. I mean, we could have them on as a guest and we can discuss whatever it is. But throughout the conversation, he was very evasive, but was letting me know that I guess he was letting me know that I was being watched. And that was part of his mission. And not only was he telling me that I was being watched, but he would kind of hope that I would somehow change what I was saying. But he wasn't coming out and exactly saying it. So when we were done with the conversation, I remember I hung up the phone and I thought, what the hell was that? Was that a warning or a threat? I'm not sure. Or maybe both. And then 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, I'm hearing, and then it happens, the Biden administration has decided to go through the Treasury Department, this little agency called OFAC that most people have never heard of,
yes,
which controls what businesses in the United States are allowed to exist and which ones aren't. And they shut down the place where I worked. And not only that, they passed a measure within that provision that seemed to say, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an expert on it, but it seemed to say that any American working for this entity will go to jail or be fined if they continue working for that entity.
So,
and that's what happened. And the next day, man, I was on the street.
That's absolutely mind-blowing. So let's just back up. You say 3 weeks later, the State Department shut down the place where you work. What does that mean?
That means that they officially announced that RT as an entity and anybody associated with media in Russia, I think is the way they wrote it, is not allowed to hire or even contract anyone in the United States. I, Rick Sanchez Productions, my show, had been hired by an entity to do a show that was airing on RT. I didn't work directly for RT, but I worked for a U.S. company that was doing shows. They sold the shows, and they sold this show to RT. So my show ended up being on RT. Well, they back-channeled the Treasury Department under Mr. Biden decided to follow all those little loopholes or whatever, and they went all the way back and said, not only can RT not exist in the United States, RT is not allowed to pay money to anybody in the United States for any product. They can't buy a product. They can't contract anybody. Nobody can work for anybody who contracts through RT. And if any of those people are caught in the United States somehow contracting or working for RT, I don't care if you're a janitor or a carpenter or a plumber, you will be fined or even go to jail. That's the new law, according to Mr. Biden, 3 weeks afterward. And they said something in the dicta, in the explanation about why they were doing this, that they thought that the Russians were once again preparing to interfere in our election, as they had before in the case with Mr. Trump. So they were shutting down RT and anybody who could be in any way associated with RT, even though I wasn't doing pro-Trump stuff. In fact, I was criticizing Mr. Trump during the campaign for certain things that he did, just like I was criticizing Kamala Harris. So it's totally unfair that here I am just doing a basic newscast every day, sharing it with them. That was garnering tens of millions of people around the world. And a lot of people thought it was fair and it was sharing a perspective that Americans needed to hear. And the Biden administration said, no, you cannot practice your craft as a journalist if you're in any way associated with those people.
But it wasn't airing in the United States.
No, it wasn't.
That's just pure craziness. You probably haven't forgotten the image of empty grocery shelves during COVID. Lockdowns and out-of-control mandates made that nightmare hard enough, and not being able to get the food you want for your family was just too much. So the people who run this country should do everything possible to make sure that never happens again. One small business called Merriweather Farms is doing everything it can to help. The founder of Merriweather Farms was so alarmed by this country's dependence on foreign meat that she left Washington, abandoned her career there, and came to the great American West to begin a company that created American grazed beef. And she has, and we eat it every day. If you sign up for a subscription today, you will get Merriweather's best offerings, 10% off plus free shipping every month. Your first box will be filled with 20 of their premium beef sticks, plus another special offer for more. 100% of Merriweather cattle are born and raised in the U.S., brought up right in Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska. They're all American all the time. Go to merriweatherfarms.com/Tucker, shop all products, and save. And by the way, the meat is excellent.
That's what happened. And it happened in America. And it hurts being a guy who was born in a communist country and has spent his whole life saying we are so different than the rest of the world because we allow people to say and think and work wherever they want. And all of a sudden here I was being told I couldn't work or think or say whatever I wanted. And
that's like unbelievable. Did anyone from the U.S. State Department reach out to you after?
No.
Did you speak again to the sinister CNN colleague who called you from the State Department after this happened?
He sent me a Christmas card and recently. And,
did he leave like a horse's head on your bed or anything like that?
He did. We did have we did have a.
That's such mafia behavior. I mean, it's
we did have a secondary conversation, and interestingly enough, he suggested that he would help me if I wanted to maybe go to work like at Fox or someplace like that they could make some phone calls.
Oh, he could. So we'll welcome you back into neocon world if you'll just bow before the throne.
Isn't that kind of the feeling you get? Is that what they were saying?
That's the
reality. I don't know.
That's
it's just all so damn coded, man.
It's coded, but the message is clear, isn't it?
When you're living it and you're experiencing it, and thank God, we've done well, and Suzanne and I are, there's other people who are affected by this, guys who were producers and writers, all Americans.
Of course.
They hired teams of people all over Washington and New York, and they're good people who worked with you at Fox and people who worked with me at CNN and people who worked in local news. They're just regular American people, writers, producers, and they're all out on their ass simply because Mr. Biden thought that the Russians might be mean to him, and
But not even in the United States.
Not even exactly.
I will say one of the smartest people I've ever met in my long life, and most patriotic American I've ever met in my life, certainly up there, worked at RT. Just a fact. And I met on a news assignment in a foreign country years ago, and just a truly brilliant person. But anyway.
I found the Russians in general to be, and have found them to be since I've been working with them, to be extremely transactional and extremely honest. Sometimes, more so than we are.
Blunt, yeah.
They say what they think, what they want, and when you talk to them, they're very exact about what they want, and I kind of find that admirable. We're talking in generalities here. Hasty generalizations are never good. There's all kinds of Russians, just like there's all kinds of Americans, but generally speaking, I found their mannerism to be very easy to work with and for.
So I grew up in a country that took the Second World War seriously and its lessons. Our whole civilization, our whole society in the U.S. was based on the lessons we learned in World War II from the Nazis. That's the country I grew up in. And one of the main, so what were the lessons? We don't judge people on the basis of their appearance. Racism is bad.
Right.
Eugenics and all that garbage. We're against that. And number two, we don't demonize whole groups of people. If an individual does something bad, we can say that and we can punish that individual, but we can't punish his parents,
right,
or his children or his neighbors because they didn't do anything. We don't believe in collective punishment. That's immoral. It's anti-Christian, but it's also the lesson of the Second World War. And so I totally buy that. I still believe that. Truly, like in my heart, I believe that. Call me liberal, but it's so crazy to see like our whole society doing that. And it's like, you don't like Putin, that's fine. You've got all sorts of like things you don't like that he's doing. You want to do things he's preventing you from doing. I get it. But to turn around and say 150 million Russians are evil, or Russia is a gas station with nuclear weapons, like that low IQ buffoon McCain used to say, and all the other low IQ buffoons in the U.S. Senate, which is like 95% of them, it's a gas station with nuclear weapons. Really? Have you ever read Tolstoy? Have you ever been there? Like, you may hate Russia, but to say it's a gas station, you're an idiot, actually. And to hurt like professional tennis players because they have Slavic last names, like, I don't want to live in a country that does that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought it was first they came for the so-and-so, then they came for the so-and-so, and I said nothing. It's like, that extends to all human beings. If they did that to the Malaysians or the Chinese or anybody, it doesn't matter. The Belgians, you can't collectively punish people. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.